I think that was what got me through a lot of those darker times, is really being able to anchor into the sacred ordinary and to get myself to a point where I understood that I was in a dip. I was in this dark night. I was discovering more about myself, and every layer that I was uncovering, I was learning something else about my soul that I didn't understand before. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Call Cut with Angélique, and this is our 50th episode. I am so excited about today because today I'm doing something a little bit different, and that is because I have reached a milestone in my career that goes beyond the 50th episode of the Call Cut with Angélique podcast, and that is I have published my first book, Keep Shining, A Journey from Dark to Light. I am so excited about this, but I am not here to really pitch my book or give you all the reasons why I think you should pick up a copy for yourself. I want to talk to you about the dream because so many of us have different dreams and different goals and different aspirations and different things that we wish to do with our lives. A lot of it starts when we're children and moves on through adulthood. And sometimes we achieve those dreams. Sometimes they morph. Sometimes we're completely redirected and put on a different path, only to find out that the path that we have been put on is actually more in alignment with our heart's desire than we ever knew. For me, getting to this point in my life has been very difficult. I have done a lot of things in my life. And the reason I share this with you is to let you know that you can be a jack of all trades and a master of all trades. You don't necessarily have to go into one field and stay there. Many times there are things that you will do in your life that encompass a lot of different experience in order to make you the full fleshed out human that you are meant to be. So don't ever get down on yourself. Don't ever think for a minute that just because you're not at this epic conclusion of where you think you should be, that every step of the journey isn't important. It is really important. As a matter of fact, those little steps that you take to get to the big steps in some ways are even more important because they're the place that you start to do all the self-discovery. That's where you find out what you're made of, who you really are, how much strength you really have. You start to see yourself in a very, very different light, and you start to see yourself as a very different human. So my journey to get to this point truly was a journey from dark to light. It started with everything in my life absolutely crumbling. And when I say crumbling, I mean to dust. The life that I was accustomed to absolutely blown to smithereens and to the ground. I was impacted financially. I was impacted in my familial space. I was impacted by my home, my career. When I tell you in the book, I talk about lightning hitting me twice in my life, and I mean it. I was struck by lightning for the second time in my life at 37 years old with a 10-month-old baby, thinking, what the hell am I going to do now? Everything that I had built up until this point was gone. I found myself in this really dark place again, wondering, what am I going to do now? This is a question people ask themselves all the time. What am I going to do now? And this is the time I will tell you that if you do not allow despair to hold you down now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that despair isn't going to come. It is, and it's okay. I'm not going to tell you that anger won't come. It is. It's okay. I'm not going to tell you that fear won't come. It is, and it's okay. What I'm going to tell you is that you're going to survive all of it, but you have to be 100% on board with yourself. You have to have 100% faith in yourself and in the greater good of the universe, that everything is conspiring in your favor, no matter how dark it may look, no matter how horrible things may get. And you have to be committed to the idea that there is no such thing as an overnight success, and we don't necessarily come out of the darkness overnight either. Things happen in seasons. And when I say seasons, seasons are not played out in the traditional time, in the way we know time, right? We know time is 4 seasons, and we don't necessarily realize that our life doesn't play out that way. We have dips and we have crests. And this is the law of rhythm. And we ride that law of rhythm where things go up and things go down. We have seasons of abundance, we have seasons of lack. And this goes for everyone, no matter what economic background you come from. And we all have it in different ways, right? It hits us according to our karma, according to what our soul is here to learn, according to what it is exactly that we're choosing to experience. The only power that we have in all of this is the choice to look at it from a certain perspective. And this is where I want to share a little bit of my story with you so that you know how I got from the collapse and this absolute blowing up of my life to publishing my first book at 47 on my own without the help of anyone outside of myself. I believe it was Doc Brown who said, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. There is so much truth in that we don't realize how much power we truly have if we believe in ourselves and if we tune out the noise and if we have this level of stupid optimism that I know I was certainly born with that keeps us ever moving forward despite how many times the universe is going to smack us down. Back in 2017, when everything fell apart in my life and I was at that moment of what am I going to do now? I had a good old rough go of it. I was trying to get my production company shifted away from doing film and now moving into corporate video and then moving into doing some stuff with nonprofits. And I really love doing work with nonprofits, especially in the video production space. And I started to shift and I started to morph. And as these things were coming in, I was like, okay, this is going to happen. We're going to get this ship righted. We're going to move forward. In 6 months' time, we'll be back in action and it'll be like none of this ever happened. 6 months turned into 8 years. Okay. And I want to be really, really honest with you guys because there is a common misconception, again, that we are only going to be in a dip for a short amount of time. No, we may be in a dip for a really long time. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have wins in that dip. It doesn't mean that we are not going to have amazing moments, but it does mean that there will feel like a force is working against us and it is preventing us from getting to where we are wishing to be. This happens to a lot of people. And this is where people tend to give up on themselves and they either forget their dream, abandon their dream, or truly believe that their dream is not going to come true. And that's the point where I would say this is where we need to learn to surrender a little bit. I kind of walk people through this in the book, and I do it in stages. An Irrefutable Light is the first chapter in my book where I show you a little bit about the light and what the light looks like and how it glows and how we find it and how it appears in our lives. And the second chapter is Dare to Dream. And in Dare to Dream, I share my own journey, a little bit of it, and how I was able to keep those dreams going and going after them every single day in every single way and having that joie de vivre and really having at that point in time, which I believe was 2002, my life was changing again and for the better. And all of a sudden I was in a completely different trajectory than I was before. And my life was now in a crest. And so I was making all of this stuff happen. I went from being a ballroom dance instructor working for Arthur Murray and competing in American Rhythm to now living in New York City. And there I am auditioning every day and I'm on stages off Broadway and off Broadway and way off Broadway. But I was living what I thought was a dream. And like every good New York actor, you do a few episodes of Law and Order. At the time, Sex and the City was on. I did a few episodes of Sex and the City. I was in the Sex and the City movie. There were so many cool things that were happening at that time in my life. And I felt like I was really doing it. I was doing what I wanted to do that I had dreamed of as a little girl. And there I was doing it. And I thought that that would never end. But as you start to move through these things, we have ideas in our head of what they're supposed to be like and what our dreams are supposed to look like. We don't allow the universe to work through us. We try to control the universe in a way that is not possible. meaning we try to tell the universe the exact way we want things to play out. And in fairness to humans, we're not really taught how manifestation really works. We are not taught about the combination of the mind, the body, and the spirit, and how all three have to be in alignment. 9 times out of 10, we don't realize that we have these negative feedback loops that are holding us back. And while we're busy trying to push forward, they're pulling us back, and we're pushing forward, and the subconscious is pulling us back. So we don't always realize this stuff as we're navigating our way through life. The other thing we don't realize is that we're uncovering our path. Yes, there are things we may for sure know for certain, like, okay, we're going to do this, and I know I'm in this industry or what I'm supposed to do, but we may not necessarily understand how we're going to get there or what might be beyond that. Because, yeah, you may have an idea, but you may not know the magnitude of what it is that you're supposed to do here. And in order to get there, all these other things have to happen. And if those things don't happen, it becomes really difficult for the universe to give you your highest and best potential. Now, this doesn't mean that you're not going to be an active co creator in this, because, of course, you have to continuously keep your mind focused on that you wish to be, whatever it is. If there's a business you want to run, if there's a book you want to write, if there's a movie you want to film, and whatever it is, you have to have it in your head and you have to 100% get behind it and you have to truly believe in yourself. You cannot get off course. And I will tell you, you are going to be thrown off course. People are going to come at you, things are going to happen. You're going to have days where people just feel like they're absolutely suffocating you, an albatross around your neck, and yet you still have to get up and keep going. You're going to have days where you're exhausted and you feel like you can't move another inch, but then you have to convince yourself, I have to keep going. For me, the gift of the collapse was my writing. And I was somebody who really did not want to be a writer. I will tell you, I fought this. My God, I fought this tooth and nail. And I remember being young and it was something that just came to me. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And I had journals upon journals, and I was in high school. And I had this great teacher, Marian Slater, my English teacher, my 12th grade English teacher, who always encouraged me. I mean, the stuff she would write, the little notes on my papers about how much she loved my essays and I should really do this and that I had a gift for it. And yet it really wasn't what I wanted to do. I had my sights set on the Broadway stage. I was singing, I was dancing, not a very good dancer at that time. I really wanted that life. I had this picture of myself in New York City, I living that life, going to the Broadway shows and being an actor on stage. And as I said before, I did accomplish a version of that. But even through all of that, I was writing. I was writing monologues for friends of mine, and I was just giving it to them because God loved New York City. Every monologue that you can possibly get for an audition has been done over and over and over. And so I would ask them a couple of questions about themselves and then kind of shape a monologue to their personality. And it was great because my friends were booking all of these projects based on the monologues because the monologues were actually for them. It was really in their character, which was a really cool and rewarding experience. And still, writing wasn't it. I remember I went to a psychic in 2004. And when I when I went to this psychic, it was like my first time really sitting in a psychic and having them do all the cards for me. And she said, "You're a writer." And I was like, "No, madam, I'm an actress." And she said, "There's a lot of stuff you're going to do, but you're a writer. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to write." And I thought, "No, madam, I'm not a writer." And so I ignored that calling and I ignored that prediction and I continued down the path of acting. And then I got taken to the path of directing, where I went to the New York Film Academy. And by now I'm about 30 years old. And I've been in New York City just about a decade doing the audition thing. And I'm kind of bored with it. And I absolutely hate the independent films that are coming my way. All the scripts just were poorly written. And I thought, maybe I should write scripts. Maybe I should direct my own stuff. Maybe I should think about this differently. And so I went to New York Film Academy and I had a great time. That was a great experience. Truly one of the greatest experiences of my life. And I decided this was it. I was a director. What I didn't understand at the time was I was a writer director, right? Not just a director. And what you have to do to be a director, getting commercial work. I wasn't really willing to do any of that. I just, for some reason, it was like, nope, I'm going to do it this way. And I tried to make it very, very successful doing it the way I wanted to do it because God love me, my theme is my way. But sometimes my way doesn't really work for me. So I was like, all right, here we go. As a result of New York Film Academy, I ended up producing Serena's Song, which was my thesis film, which is on Amazon and starring Michael O'Keefe and Margaret Kidder, two amazing actors who really came out for me and were so generous with their time, with their talent. And we were, an independent short film. And these two were both, at the time of their peak, were both A-list actors. He was Academy Award nominated. She was in the Superman franchise, the original one with Christopher Reeves. And these were two actors who were incredibly talented and really gave it their all. I mean, they didn't phone it in. They never made anybody on the set feel like they were just had to be there. They were so happy to be there. They were so supportive and encouraging. What a great experience. And I thought, wow, this is like the career. This is it. I'm on the path. I have finally found my calling. Wah, 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 wah. That was probably the biggest and best thing I did was right out of film school. And then every other film from that point had a smaller budget and a smaller budget and a smaller budget. But I loved all of those films because they all had a piece of my soul in them. However, my grandiose idea of what my life was going to be like was very, very different. And suddenly I started to see things from a different perspective. I realized, I don't know, is directing really what I want to do? Is that the place that I belong? And then suddenly I started getting corporate videos and I'm doing work with these really large companies and I'm doing all of their testing videos and I'm doing product videos and I'm doing commercials and I'm doing new product launches. And suddenly I start to shift and I'm like, well, this is great because it's in the realm and it's money. Maybe I'm doing the right thing. But I wasn't really because my heart wasn't there, because my dream wasn't that. That wasn't why I set out to have a production company. As a matter of fact, I incorporated my production company off a play that I wrote called Ballroom Nights that Susan Batson was going to produce for Broadway. I actually dropped the ball on that, but that's for another story. But that's how Star Films came about, was off of that project. That project disappeared into the sunset again because of me. But I had the production company and off we went. And I produced all these other things. And I've done a lot of really cool work that I'm very proud of, at the higher levels and at the lower levels and everything in between. And as I've always said, I don't regret any of it. I absolutely love all of it. However, my heart was still pulling me in this other direction. And God loved the heart. And I talk about the heart in my book, The Intelligent Heart. That guy will not let up. The heart does not let you go. I truly believe the heart is here to keep us on the path. The ego will take us off. Our fears will take us off. Our insecurities will take us off. But the heart will always put us back on the right path. And it may take a while for us to get there because the heart has a huge job it has to do. It has to really battle through our insecurities and these negative feedback loops and these stories that we've told ourselves in years and years and years. And the heart has such a job to get us there. But if you listen to it and you truly trust it, it's going to put you on the path. And in order to walk that path, there are a couple things that you have to understand. When you're in the dip, you will find that everything that you're dreaming of is not quite manifesting. And it becomes harder and harder every day the more you get pushback. For example, if you're looking for a job and you're constantly getting rejections, if you're trying to be in a film and you're constantly getting rejection from auditions, schools, getting rejection from schools, whatever it is, it's really hard because you're trying to keep yourself above the fray and all of these things are coming at you. And this is what I talk about in the book, Embracing the Sacred Ordinary. On this part of the journey, when you can find the extraordinary in the ordinary, this is how you anchor in your optimism. We anchor our optimism by understanding that the most extraordinary things that are ever going to happen to us are happening every single minute of every single day. They're in small interactions, they're in larger interactions, but they're not necessarily found in these bright, shiny objects that we're told that we should be striving for all the time. They're found in the moments that we don't expect. Going for a walk and just having the most beautiful weather and just feeling the best you've ever felt. Meeting up with somebody that you haven't seen in years and having this conversation that spans lifetimes. Going to see a movie by yourself and really enjoying the experience. Going to the beach. I would go to the beach all the time. I found myself at the beach. As a matter of fact, I would take my baby to the beach because, again, I had my own company and yeah, we were doing different kinds of jobs. They weren't as big as we were used to. But now all of a sudden I had this time to be with my baby and I would take him to the beach and I would sit there for 2 hours and watch him play. So the sacred ordinary is that part of our life that we can hook into when we're feeling down, when we're feeling like everything we're dreaming of isn't quite manifesting, but we can still find the beauty in the world around us. We can still find hope. We can still find happiness. We can still laugh. We can still cry. We can still be present in our lives and truly enjoy it, even though we haven't quite hit these milestones or goalposts that we've set out for. I think that was what got me through a lot of those darker times is really being able to anchor into the sacred ordinary and to get myself to a point where I understood that I was in a dip. I was in this dark night. I was discovering more about myself and every layer that I was uncovering. I was learning something else about my soul that I didn't understand before. I got involved in Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism, which I wouldn't have gotten involved in otherwise. I started chanting. I had a Gohonsen. I received Gojukai. These were all things I didn't even know. They weren't even on my radar. And I would keep moving forward. We would go to this Buddhist temple here in New York. It's an incredible temple. And my husband and I would take our baby and we'd go up there and we would just meditate. And it's these grounds that are just spectacular. It feels like you're in another country. It was a lot of stuff like that where I was really starting to discover things about myself that were outside of the dream, outside of the hustle, outside of the grind. Because when we're running toward a goal, we don't realize that there's something else chasing us. And oftentimes we're running toward this and our goal is chasing us, but we don't realize it because we haven't stopped long enough to really take it in. Another part of the journey is the unbearable struggle of being. And these are all the chapters that are actually in my book. And I kind of go over what these things are in the book. But the unbearable struggle of being is the part of the journey where we have to acknowledge that things aren't always fun. This is the part where things fall apart, the part where a dream doesn't necessarily manifest the way we thought it would. Suddenly, this is where the redirections are. And we have to either get in alignment with the redirections or we fight against them, but we release an exorbitant amount of energy on things that really don't serve us if we don't surrender to the struggle. How we get through the struggle is how we think. Again, you have the ordinary, right? The sacred ordinary. You have the positive thinking. You have the belief in yourself. You have the why every day you wake up and you're like, no, I'm going to do this. And you have to know in your heart that things will get better and things will change because they will. How long it's going to take is not always up to us because a lot of things have to fall into place before we could get to where we are. And I know I'm going high road to China to get here. You know, as my brother said, I always go around the friggin' mountain to get to the point. But that's the beauty of having a podcast. We can get to the point in 30 minutes. The point being, when I finally got to this stage of my life, I had been kicked down. I had lost everything. I had been bottom, back up, like a ping pong ball, just getting hit up and down, up and down, up and down. And I refused to give in. I wrote screenplays in that time, and those screenplays won awards. I wrote Blackout, my sci-fi fantasy series, 4 books. I had 4 books outlined. I wrote 3 of them. I still working on the 4th. And I was like, great, I'm going to just pitch this. I wrote this into a series. I have the series Bible. This thing is going to be my greatest creation. And I was talking to agents who were saying, well, you don't have a social media presence. It was a little bit heartbreaking that things were so different. We grew up in a world, at least I did, where, you got an agent, you got a publisher, and yeah, okay, it wasn't easy, but you did it enough. And eventually you got your stuff out there. Not quite how the world works anymore. And so one day I'm at dinner with a friend of mine, and he said to me, go to LinkedIn and start sharing your writing just the way you do on your blog. Just share it on your profile, share what you have. And very long story short, that's what I did. And in that choice to go to LinkedIn, again, following the intelligent heart and showing up every single day, I met this beautiful community of people who have supported my work for about 2 years. And I get choked up because we often don't realize the impact that we have on other people, but they don't often realize the impact that they have on us. While people tell me on a regular basis how grateful they are for the stuff that I share, I can say, in all honesty, I am truly grateful for all of these folks on multiple platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. All of my platforms, thankfully, have been very active. All of the beautiful comments and the people that resonate give me the validation that I have chosen the right path. It wasn't a path that I set out to do. It was a path that came organically through me. It was a path of just sharing my journey, sharing everything that was going on in my mind, everything that I was going through and what I learned from it and how I could offer that to other people who felt lonely, who felt lost, who felt alone, who felt like, what am I going to do now? We've all thought it. We've all been there. We have all had that moment. But to say that after 2 years, I could look back and say, I have a book. And now I can offer something else to the world. Now I could take my writing and put it in an actual tangible thing. And people can take it with them and feel less alone. And even take it and look at their own life and say, if this crazy, you know what, can do this, I can do it. If I can do it, whatever it is, you can do it. I don't care how big your goal is. I don't care how big your dream is. If I can step out of being struck by lightning twice in my life, if I can dust myself off and pick myself up, and friends, I have dealt with every form of abuse, including sexual. I have been on the end of being attacked. I have had so many things happen to me that should have one of those things ended it for me. And I don't know whether it's just stupidly optimistic or a willpower that I will absolutely not let anything take me down. I don't know. A stubbornness, I don't know, maybe having Leo and 5 planets and a Sagittarian moon. I have no idea. It could be astrology, biology, astronomy, or just psychology, whatever it is. I know that the mind is so incredibly powerful, so much more powerful than we ever can imagine. And if you have mastery of it and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that whatever it is in this world that you have come to do, you are going to do, by God, nobody is going to stop you, not even yourself. Not the devil, not the angels, not the little demons that come in and try to get in your path. No. The only person who can ever stop you from doing what you want to do in this world is you, and it's only because you won't actually do it. But if you get up and you put one foot in front of the other and you have the courage to say, I don't know what I'm going to do now, but I am going to find out, then friends, you are going to end up exactly where you are meant to be. I hope that whatever it is that your dream is, that you dare to dream that big dream, I hope you hold on to that dream and never let go. I hope you take the leap because we often get our wings on the way down. Fear is going to get in the way at times, but dust it aside. You'll get knocked down, get back up. For every time you get back up, the universe takes note. Look out. He's back. Look out. She's coming, whatever it is. And you just keep going ever forward. There's going to be naysayers. There's going to be critics. There's going to be people who tell you can't. That's okay. Let them do it. Keep moving forward. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be losses. There's going to be tragedies. It's going to happen. It's human. Keep moving forward. Then suddenly you're going to see there's going to be victories. There's going to be triumphs. There's going to be joy. Let those happen too. Enjoy them. Keep moving forward. Move forward in full faith and full belief in yourself because what you are searching for is already within you. All you have to do is believe it and see it. Remember that it's not often easy to get behind yourself because often the most incredibly powerful things that we're supposed to bring into the world are the hardest because a lot of force comes up against us in order to do those things. Push through it anyway. Push through the headaches. Push through the illness. Push through the doubt. Push through the fear. And keep going because you've got this. You are exactly who you think you are. You are going to do exactly what you say you're going to do. And it may take 1 year, it may take 10, but rest assured, when that timing hits and you're ready to fly, you're going to get your wings. My book, Keep Shining, is available in all major retailers. It's an ebook, paperback, hardcover, and if you want an autographed copy, we have autographed copies on the website. Feel free to order one there and we'll be happy to send it to you. I am so incredibly grateful for every single person who has been supportive of this journey, who has been here with me, who has stood by my side, who has supported me in small ways and large. I am incredibly grateful to you. Thank you. Wherever you are in your journey, whether you have achieved the goal that you wanted, whether you're on your way to the next one, whether you're in limbo, whether you're in the unbearable struggle or appreciating the sacred ordinary, following the intelligent heart, or daring to dream, wherever you are on your journey, just remember that everything you're searching for is already within you. Stay fully embodied in your light and always keep shining. Thank you so much for joining me on Call Cut with Angélique. New episodes drop every Friday. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, share with your friends. And remember, folks, no matter what life gives you, you must always keep shining.